One of my favourite things about the spring is how you're actually able to fish for and catch the carp. You can use very simple tactics, and as long as you apply them right, you can score really well. I'm not saying carp are easy to catch in the spring, but they're certainly easier to catch in the spring than they are a lot of the time. And if you follow a few simple rules, they can appear on some days to be quite easy to catch. The first thing to consider, as always, is location. And when you come into the spring, the fish are going to be waking up and they're going to give their location away much easier. They're also going to start to use much more of the lake than they have been throughout the winter. So if you've got keen eyes and you're watching you're up early, going to bed late, you will be able to see fish. And once you find the fish, the tactics you need to use, like I said, can be very simple. 90% of the time in the spring, I'm using either pop-ups or zig rigs. So the bait is suspended up off the bottom, which means that I'm able to cast it pretty much anywhere. So if I see a sign of a fish, I can cast a pop-up rig or a zig straight at it, and providing it doesn't land in thick weed, I know it's going to land and be fishing effectively. That is absolutely key. Attached to one of these rigs is going to be a bright, high attract pop-up, and a lot of the time nowadays I'm using the goo. There's lots of varieties you can use, and we all have our favourites, but pick one that you like, and I'm sure it will serve you really well, as it has done me and many other people. The key thing is that it's high in colour, it's high in flavour, and the carp can smell it. They know where it is, and it's very easy for them to detect, not only by sight but by smell also. So the more you can do to make that bait easy for them to find, the more chance you have getting a pickup, and at the same time the more chance you have of getting a quicker bite. In previous years I've used the squid goo a hell of a lot, but this year buttercorn, and it smells absolutely wonderful. As soon as I smell it, I just thought that is going to work. And since January I've been using that quite a lot, and I've caught a fair few fish on it. Not loads, but the lake I'm fishing, it's been very slow. It hasn't quite woken up yet. We're actually saying that's a lie, it's just starting to wake up. So last 10 days or so started doing a fair few fish, but up until this point it has been quite slow, and I've been catching them on the buttercorn. I've used it on other lakes as well, and I've caught well there too. And the nice thing about it, one of the things which will appeal to more people, is that it's white in colour. The good thing about that is you can add it to a bait and it isn't going to change the colour. That's one of the best things about it, but on top of that, the carp seem to love it, and it's a joy to use because it smells absolutely glorious. One thing I like to do when I'm zigging, wrap the foam around my hook bait. I do that just so I've got a sight marker, and it also separates the bait from the lead, but by covering that bit of foam in goo as well, I'm able to, rather than just have the piece of foam itself which has got goo on it, leaking attraction, having that foam on there just allows me to apply more goo, and once that goes under the water, it's then leaking off more goo. Obviously the foam pops to the top, but the initial introduction is far greater like that than by just using a piece of foam on its own. Rigs that I'll be using this time of year, i.e. pop-up rigs or zig rigs, I'm going to be using two different types of hook bait. So it'll be foam, or it'll be pop-ups in various sizes and varieties, and the way I prepare the two is slightly different. So with the foam, I pour a load of goo into a pot, and I literally just drown the foam in it, leave it soaking for as long as possible. With the pop-ups, I'm going to apply the goo more gradually, so rather than just completely drowning them, I'm going to coat them, shake them about in a pot, leave them with the lid off so they can absorb the goo, and then I'm going to reapply it and keep repeating that process until the liquid's drawn right the way through to the core. And what that means is when it goes out into the lake, because the flavour has completely soaked into the bait, that hook bait's going to be out there working harder for you for longer, so you can leave the rod out for longer periods of time, knowing that it's still going to work very effectively. To summarise spring fishing, I would say that if you can concentrate all your efforts on finding the fish first, once you've located them, then you need to think about what rig you're going to use, make sure it will present in that area, and then to that attach a bright, high attract hook bait. If you can do that, the bites really can come thick and fast.